Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and once again I have got another book haul video for you guys. I was joking about this when I was counting the number of books I had. I am one book away from having a Baskin Robbins. You know what I mean? I don't have 31 flavors. I have 30 books here. And to be honest with you, I don't remember where I actually got some of them, because some of them might be like, okay, I'd see it at Barnes & Noble and I go, look, whoa, this is too much. Can I get this cheaper somewhere else? And then some of them I did buy at Barnes & Noble. So the ones I can remember where I got them from, I will definitely let you guys know. So that being said, let's go ahead and get underway with this. So this first one I actually got at Bookhounds, which is our used bookstore here in Bakersfield. And this is by Peter James, and this is Possession. Alright. And I know that looks like it'd be like one of those step back covers where you open it up and reveal something, but it's not. It's just got the really, the foil cover to it and everything. As says, international bestseller, the kind of scary book you don't want to read when you're alone in the house. Alex Hightower is expecting her son home on school vacation. Half asleep, she saw him enter her room, heard him speak. Then the police appeared at her front door with the shattering news. Young Fabian Hightower was dead, killed that morning in a blazing car crash. Fabian was gone, or was he? She had seen him, heard him, and now as the days wore on, she began to feel him, wanting her, reaching out for her, cruel, cunning, demanding. Not the charming child, the handsome young man she knew and adored, but a boy who had lived in the darkest shadows, a creature who had unearthed Alex's blackest secret and done unspeakable evil. And that's Possession. I'm not going to read the whole synopsis. Possession by Peter James, because I got a lot of books to get through. Okay, so alright, so this next one I got from Etsy, a seller on Etsy. And I think the seller is called Buy the Book Already. You know, alright. This is Haunted Houses, and this is by Bernhardt J. Herwood. Nice little thin book. If you remember, Bernhardt J. Herwood also did one called Ghost, Ghouls, and Other Horrors. And he did one after that. I can't remember the exact title. Something about werewolves, demons, werewolves, and something or another. Anyway, but this is another book like that. And there's these little short little stories in them. They're only, any of them are anywhere from 2 to 3 pages long. Maybe some of them may be a little longer than that. It's got stories. Let me see what you got here. The Legend of the Screaming Skulls, The House of the Lonely Ghost, The Noisy Ghost of Barbie. That's B-A-R-B-E-Y, not the Ghost of Barbie, the Barbie doll. You know. Can you imagine being haunted by the ghost of Barbie? You know. You promised you'd take me to the mall, Ken. Buy me shoes. I want shoes. Anyway, The Cold Hand, I'm sorry, The Ghostly Beautician, and there's about 25 stories in here. Alright, so there you go. That is Haunted Houses. Let me hold that title up one more time. There you go. Okay, and next I actually got this one from the author, Ronald Kelly. And I think this is Ronald Kelly's first book, but he wrote on Instagram that he had copies of it, and if you want a copy of it and you want it signed, just let him know and he'll tell you how much it is. So I did, and he sent me Hindsight. And if you remember, this is one of the books that I talked about on the Horror Across America. So little Cindy Ann knew things no one else knew, saw things no one else saw. Ever since she nearly died of fever, the gift of second sight had been hers. Okay, then her older brother disappeared in the vicinity of the old tobacco barn, and Cindy's visions began to burn with a bloodthirsty, relentless hatred. What horrors lay buried in the cold earth of the barn. Alright, that's not the whole synopsis. Like I said, I got a lot of books to get through here. And he did. He signed it on this first page. Nice little signature. To John, sometimes true evil can only be seen through the eyes of a child. Ronald Kelly, May 10th, 2022. And he did a little drawing here of like a barn and then an axe right there. Okay. That's pretty cool, huh? All right. So yeah, that's Hindsight by Ronald Kelly. All right, so this next, the next 10 books here, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the next 10 books here are all from Valancourt Books. They're the people, the publishers that do paperbacks from hell, and I do have 2 paperbacks from hell books, and I'm going to talk about them first. Both of them are by Lisa Tuttle. And if you're familiar with paperbacks from hell and you know what books have come out, you know which ones I'm talking about. The first one here is Familiar Spirit. Okay. And this got an introduction by Will Erickson, as does the second one I'm going to talk about. The big old house was perfect for Sarah. Now that her life with Brian was over, she would have a home of her own. She could begin again. But something was waiting for Sarah in her new house, waiting to welcome her, to make her feel at home. Something was waiting for Sarah in the night with golden eyes that glowed and burned, commanding her obedience, demanding her soul, promising her. And that is Familiar Spirit, Lisa Tuttle. Okay. And the guy that sells like pork rinds and elotes, which is a Mexican thing. It's corn, but it's like got mayonnaise on it and all kinds of sprinkly flavorings and stuff. He is riding down the street. So if you hear a horn going, hink, 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 that's him. All right. Anyway, next up, and because my window's open, all right. Anyway, next up we've got A Nest of Nightmares, and I believe this is a short story collection. Yes, 13 stories. Let's see some of the stories in this, if I can get to the table of contents, and these are all by Lisa Tuttle. Bug House, Dollburger, Flying to Byzantium, The Other Mother, A Friend in Need, Sun City, and The Nest, and that's just some of the stories. Anyway, that is A Nest of Nightmares. Okay. All right, moving on to the rest. It's funny because when I ordered these books, I ordered 10 books, and I ordered all of them paperback except for one, and they sent me all the paperbacks, but they didn't send me the hardcover until actually today, which is Monday the 23rd of May. And I wrote them and I said, hey, when's this going to, when am I going to get this? And they said that for some reason or another, their hardcovers take longer to process and get shipped. Anyway, I'm going to start with the hardcover of the 10 books from Valancourt. Actually, the 8 more books, because I just did the 2 from the Nest from Lisa Tuttle. Anyway, this is Wisteria Cottage. And I believe this was written in 1948. It's by Robert Coates. Let me see the year this thing was written. Yeah, 1948, but I've heard so many good things about this book, I just had to have it. All right? I want to read this book for sure, okay? To Florence Hackett and her daughters Eleanor and Louisa, Richard Bawry, a handsome young bookstore clerk and aspiring poet, seems a little odd but harmless enough. With his amusing conversation, his eager-to-please attitude, Richard works his way into the Hackett's confidence until he is almost one of the family. When he suggests they rent Wisteria Cottage, a charming seaside residence, and seems to promise a summer of pleasant companionship and fun. What the Hacketts don't know is that Richard is a deeply troubled individual recently released from a mental institution, and that their relaxing summer holiday will soon turn into a terrifying nightmare. And that is Wisteria Cottage, and that is an awesome cover. You gotta admit, that's just a cool cover, okay? All right. Okay, next up from Basil Copper. This is The House of the Wolf. And that's another one. Look at that cover. Look at the werewolf coming up behind the girl. Who is the artist? I think the artist on this one is Jay Lee, but I may be... And he's a comic artist, but he does covers too. Let me see. Cover art. Nope, Stephen Fabian. I don't know who that is, but anyway, it's a werewolf novel from, let me see what year this is from. It's got a long synopsis, so I'm not going to read the synopsis. from 1983 from Basil Copper. And what does this say here? Wait a minute. There says something else here about this. Okay. Alright. It's just a dedication to Anne Suster. Don't know who Anne Suster is, but that's who the dedication is for. Anyway, that is the House of the Wolf. Alright. Okay, next up from Thomas Cullinan, who is the author of The Beguiled, we have The Bedeviled. Okay, Thomas Cullinan. Maggie Kane and her family leave New York City to visit the Kane family home, an old farmhouse in Ohio, which her husband has just inherited from a distant aunt. The house, 10 miles away from the nearest neighbor, was once owned by a Civil War general reputed to have been a Satanist. But when strange and terrible things begin to happen, it soon becomes clear that satanic worship is still alive and well in the community, and so might be the general, who Maggie suspects is taking possession of her teenage son. That is The Bedeviled, Thomas Cullinan. I've got The Beguiled also. I haven't read The Beguiled yet. I love the movie. I actually loved both versions of the movie. I think it's the remake. I think is Sofia Coppola's absolute best film next to The Virgin Suicides. And then the original was with Clint Eastwood, directed by Don Siegel, who directed the first Dirty Harry movie. All right. Okay, next up I got two books from Frank DiFelitta. This first one is Golgotha Falls. Okay. Let's see. Golgotha Falls lies on a desolate and blighted valley in northern Massachusetts, where in 1919, Father Bernard K. Lovell, priest of the Church of the Eternal Sorrows, fell prey to isolation and despair and entered a dark night of madness, necrophilia, and suicide. Then in 1978, a Jesuit priest was sent to reconsecrate the church, but found himself seized in the foul grip of bestiality. Now Father Malcolm, a saintly priest, has arrived to do battle with the forces of Satan that have possessed the church, while two brilliant scientists of the paranormal from Harvard University have traveled to the site to investigate a century's worth of bizarre happenings. None of them are prepared for what they will encounter, an evil dating back to the dawn of time that could bring about the end of days. That is Golgotha Falls. Frank DiFelitta. All right. I have never read the book of this. I read Golgotha Falls years ago, but I wanted another copy. I want to reread it. It's been a long time. I have never actually read this next book. I saw the movie. I loved the movie with Barbara Hershey and I think Ron Silver, the late Ron Silver. But anyway, I am talking about The Entity, and this is a new release of this. Look at that cover, man. That cover is just fantastic. That is so awesome. Anyway, this is about a woman who is literally sexually assaulted by an entity. You could call it a incubus, a succubus. Could be you call it a demon or whatever. But that is what is happening to her. It is based on a true story. Last I read about the person that this book is based on, it's still happening to her. All right, but that's been a while back since I read that. But anyway, this is The Entity. All right. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one because I love the movie. Okay, next up we got Elizabeth by Ken Greenhall. Okay. The image in the mirror of 14-year-old Elizabeth Cutner is that of the fey and long-dead Frances, who introduces Elizabeth to her chilling world of the supernatural. Through Frances, Elizabeth learns what it is to wield power, power of a kind that is malevolent and seemingly invincible, power that begins with the killing of her parents. That is Elizabeth. And kind of a witchcraft, kind of a witch novel, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. All right, and from Malcolm McDowell, I'm reading Malcolm McDowell's first published novel now, The Amulet, and I am loving it. I'm going to be giving it a very positive review when I get finished with it. But anyway, this is Gilded Needles, and that is another fantastic cover. Man, I don't know who's doing these covers for Valancourt Books, but man, they are knocking it out of the park. All right, okay. All right, welcome to the Black Triangle, New York's decadent district of opium dens, gambling casinos, drunken sailors, gaudy hookers, and backroom abortions. The queen of this unsavory neighborhood is Black Lena Shanks, whose family leads a ring of female criminals, women skilled in the art of cruelty. Only a few blocks away, amidst the elegant mansions and lily-white reputations of Gramercy Park and Washington Square, lives Judge James Stallworth. On a crusade to crush Lena's evil empire, the judge has sentenced 3 of her family members to death, and now she wants revenge. And there's more to the synopsis, but I don't want to go and give away too much, all right? So that is Gilded Needles. Michael McDowell. All right, next up we've got The Delicate Dependency, and this is a vampire novel by Michael Talbot, a novel of the vampire life, okay? All right. They are cool to the touch and alluringly beautiful in their ageless youth. Their laughter seduces, their brilliance beguiles. They guard the secrets of science and history, and their vastly superior knowledge contains the answers to the mysteries of life and death. They are vampires. That's The Delicate Dependency. Okay. Okay. And that is all from Valancourt. So this next one, and I think the next, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 I got from Amazon. This is Devil's Call. And it's by J. Danielle Dorn. Okay. And this says The Revenant with Witches. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to read the back. I'm not going to read the synopsis, but there's a little part from the back. Before I leave you in this world, my dear, I am to record what came to pass when your mama rode from the Nebraska Territory to Louisiana to the frozen Badlands to bring to justice the monster who murdered your father. All right, that's Devil's Call. J. Danielle Dorn. Okay, and from Jason Robert Ducharme, this is his first novel. He's written several novellas, but this is his first novel. This is the Modern Prometheus, and it is a modern day, of course, a modern day take on the Frankenstein legend. I cannot wait to read it. I've read every book of Jason Ducharme's, and I've loved every one of them. The guy has got talent coming out of his wazoo. All right, there you go. All right, next up, and from David Sodergren, this is Maggie's Grave. The small Scottish town of Auchenmullen is dead and has been for years. It sits in the shadow of a mountain, forgotten and atrophying in the perpetual gloom. 47 residents are all that remain. There's nothing to do there, nothing to see except for a solitary grave near the top of the mountain. That doesn't tell you a lot, but that is Maggie's Grave, and I believe this is another book about witchcraft or about witches. I don't remember for sure. Next up, from Thomas Tryon. I have never read this book. I don't know why, because I love folk horror. So I'm talking about Harvest Home, Thomas Tryon. Okay. After watching his asthmatic daughter suffer in the foul city air, Theodore Constantine decides to get back to the land. When he and his wife search New England for the perfect 19th century home, they find no township more charming, no countryside more idyllic than the farming village of Cornwall Coombe. Here they begin a new life, simple, pure, close to nature, and ultimately more terrifying than Manhattan's darkest alley. When the Constantines win the friendship of the town matriarch, the mysterious widow Fortune, they are invited to join the ancient festival of Harvest Home, a ceremony whose quaintness disguises dark intentions. In this bucolic hamlet where bootleggers work by moonlight and all the villagers seem to share the same last name, the past is more present than outsiders can fathom, and something far more sinister than the annual harvest is about to rise out of the earth. That is Harvest Home, Thomas Tryon. Hey, next up, this is Near the Bone. This is by Christina Henry. A woman trapped in a mountain attempts to survive more than one kind of monster in a dread-inducing horror novel from the national best-selling author Christina Henry. She can't remember a time before she and William lived alone on a mountain together. Her name's Maddie, excuse me. She must never make him upset, but when Maddie discovers the mutilated body of a fox in the woods, she realizes that they're not alone after all. There's something in the woods that wasn't there before, something that makes strange cries in the night, something with sharp teeth and claws, as near the bone. Christina Henry. Okay, next up from Clay McLeod Chapman, I got a book about the Satanic Panic. This is Whisper Down the Lane. Okay. Alright. Richard doesn't have a past. For him, there is only the present, a new marriage, a first chance at fatherhood, and a quiet life as an art teacher in Virginia. Then the body of a ritualistically murdered rabbit appears on his school's playground, along with a birthday card for him. But Richard hasn't celebrated his birthday since he was known as Sean. In the 1980s, Sean was 5 years old when his mother unwittingly led him to tell a lie about his teacher. When school administrators, cops, and therapists questioned him, he told another and another and another. Each was more outlandish than the last and fueled a moral panic that engulfed the nation and destroyed the lives of everyone around him. That's just a little bit of the synopsis of Whisper Down the Lane. Like I said, I'm kind of trying to get through these as fast as possible. Anyway, that is Whisper Down the Lane. And we're getting to the end. Kind of. Alright, next up we got My Heart is a Chainsaw, Stephen Graham Jones. I am actually hoping that I like this better than I did The Only Good Indians. I hate to say it, but I did DNF The Only Good Indians. I may give it another chance later on, but for now, it just wasn't for me. Alright, but anyway, this is about a girl. You won't find a more hardcore 80s horror fan than high school senior Jade Daniels, and you won't find a place less supportive of girls who wear torn t-shirts and too much eyeliner than Proof Rock. Nestled 8,000 feet up the mountain in Idaho, right alongside Indian Lake, home to both Camp Blood, site of a massacre 50 years ago, and as of this summer, Terra Nova, a second home celebrity Camelot being carved out of the National Forest. Alright, that's not the only thing that's getting carved up though. This Jade knows is the start of a slasher, but what kind? Who's wearing the mask? So Jade kind of has to call on her encyclopedic knowledge of horror and slasher films to find out what's going on. This My Heart is a Chainsaw. Okay, next up, got Maynard's House, Herman Raucher. Austin Fletcher, a disturbed young Vietnam War vet, is willed a small house deep in the woods of northern Maine. He comes to own it by the generosity of a brother-in-arms, a fellow soldier and confidant, Maynard Whittier, killed in action by a wayward mortar shell. The rugged landscape of Maine is an intoxicating blend of claustrophobic interiors and endless frozen wastelands. Little by little, the mysterious force in the house asserts itself until Austin isn't exactly sure what is in his mind and what is real. And just when our heroes had enough and is ready to quit the place, a blizzard arrives and the real haunting begins. As Maynard's House, Herman Raucher. Right, next up, I've got a monster of a book. I've started reading this book a while back, about 5-6 years ago. Didn't finish it. Hopefully I'll be able to. I'm probably going to set this book aside as the only book on any particular month. It'll probably be the only book I read for that month. I'm talking, of course, about House of Leaves. This thing is just a monster and just so much going on with it. And of course the whole premise of the book, or well, not the whole premise of the book, but part of the premise of the book is about a family that moves into a house, and the house is larger on the inside than it is on the outside. Alright? That's just a little bit about what this book is about. It is a bizarre freaking book. Alright? So there you go. Alright, next up I've got 5 graphic novels. Okay, so the first one is from Joe Hill. and artist Gabriel Rodriguez, and this is Lock and Key, the Golden Age. Now this one collects some of the Lock and Key one-shots that were released, I think, after the original Lock and Key series came out. Small World, Open the Moon, and Face the Music, and that says this is the first time this one has been collected in one volume. And then it culminates with DC's The Sandman Universe crossover, Hell and Gone. And first of all, there's that gorgeous cover. And let's open this thing up to some more lovely goodies here real fast. Alright, there's one. There's a little bit of artwork. I think that one's from Small World. Alright, so yeah, there you go. That is Lock and Key. And this is a nice hardcover edition. I got this at Man Bites Dog Emporium. It's a place that sells comic books and action figures and all kinds of cool junk. Well, it's not junk, you know. Sorry, that's insulting. I shouldn't have said that. Cool stuff. Alright, so there you go. Alright, next up, I'm just going to go ahead and bring out all 4 volumes, because that is what I've got. I've got all 4 volumes of The Sandman, volume 1, 2, 3, and 4. This goes from issues number 1 to issue 75, and has stories from other Sandman-related books or whatever, but it's got the entire Sandman run itself, the first run, and I think it's got stuff from Sandman Mystery Theater and so on and so forth. But of course, you know, this is written by Neil Gaiman and a whole bunch of different artists. So there's the first cover, and I got this one at Barnes & Noble. Okay, and then book 2, and that was Amazon. Okay, and I better not stack any more of those there. Anyway, here is book 3, also Amazon. Okay, and finally book 4, also Amazon. Okay, and of course it's going to be a Netflix series. You guys have seen the trailer and seen the casting and everything. If you've seen it for the Netflix series, what are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about the casting? Excuse me. How do you feel about the casting? Because I'm not really sure how I feel about the casting. Alright? So, anyway, let me know what you think of the casting. Alright? Okay, so the next 2 books, excuse me, are special editions from Ethereal Visions Publishing. They've only got like 3, maybe 4 books that they published, but they are beautiful editions. I actually got one of my copies, this copy here, Dracula, from them. And I've got 2 more. Marie McWilliams is the one that introduced me to Ethereal Visions. So, thank you, Marie, for that. I can't say my wallet thanks you, but thank you, Marie. Anyway, this is Frankenstein. Alright, of course, this is by the Modern Prometheus, of course, by Mary Shelley. And these things, this is illustrated. It is gorgeous. Look at the gold edging there. And let me find some illustration. Alright, here. Well, one of my favorites. I'll show you my favorite, or one of them. Here's one. And it says, I will be with you on your wedding night. Okay. And let me find another one here. A new species would bless me as its creator and source. Many happy and excellent natures would owe their being to me, says Victor Frankenstein in Volume 1, Chapter 3. Here's another awesome piece of artwork there. Okay. Anyway, yeah, like I said, this is just a beautiful book. And I actually read Frankenstein for the first time in many, many, many years. And I absolutely loved it. Alright. Okay. And then the next one I've got from Ethereal Visions, this is a collection of stories by Edgar Allan Poe. And this is This and Nothing More. Okay. This has got some poetry in it, and it's got some short stories. Here's a little bit of the artwork. Here's a artist rendition of Edgar Allan Poe. Okay. Alright. So some of the poems are, of course, The Raven, Annabel Lee, The Bells, Spirits of the Dead, The Conqueror Worm, Evening Star, Israfel. And then some of the stories are in The Mask of the Red Death, The Murders in the Rue Morgue, The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar, The Fall of the House of Usher, The Black Cat, and The Telltale Heart, just to name a few. Here's some more illustration. That's for The Bells. Okay. Let's see what we have. Let me find something else here. Let's see what we got. Let's do The Raven. Let's see if The Raven has a nice... Well, it's got that. Alright, let me see what else we got here. Finding one more. Find one more really good, awesome illustration. Okay. Here's one for stories. The cover, the part for stories. And then, okay, what is this one here? Got one right here. I'm not sure what story this is from. Anywhere there's that. Anyway, just a beautiful edition. Another one that's got the nice gold lettering to it. So, and finally, the last one, the last book, I've got the annotated Frankenstein. And this has got annotations and notes by Leslie Klinger. And that's going to go real nice with my annotated Dracula right here. And I've got an annotated, couple of annotated Lovecraft right there. But yeah, this is just going to go really beautifully with those editions. So there you go. And that is it. That is 30 books in my big, huge book haul video. I hope it didn't take too long. Thank you guys for watching, and take care, and stay scared. Alright, bye-bye.